is some tools that I quickly ran around the home and gathered up, and we'll go over some demonstrations with these when we get to making a cylinder slab or making a press plate, but all of these have some interesting designs or shapes on them that will lend itself to impressing into clay. Just starting right off, there's this shim that's used for leveling doors and other things, and so there's some things that are interesting about it. Being tapered, going from a small width to a wider width, and even this rectangle over here could be interesting to press into clay repeatedly. There are these chopsticks, right? This texture here is interesting. Using the ends of these on the potter's wheel, you can make what are called chopstick boxes, if people are familiar with that form. A old card, credit card type item. So using to cut a shape out of this and using it as a scraper or a rib on the wheel. This is something pulled from a hardware store, used to get texture laid down on paint. It also leaves a nice surface, nice texture on clay when it's rolled out. These wood spoons are nice for paddling. So paddling clay, hammering out any sort of inconsistencies in your clay on the side, on the slab. It also works really well as a throwing stick. So if you want to bulge out the shoulder a little bit of a bottle, this edge works really nice for that. This is a honey dipper that I got at Hy-Vee here in Cedar Rapids. This texture is really nice to use, again, as a paddle. You can press it into the work as well. And some, standard kitchen utensils. Fork for scoring, a spoon for, smoothing out surfaces, creating some grooves, knife for cutting, and if you wanted to have something to impress into the clay. Handles are also a really interesting thing to get pattern and design. Hardware tools are also great to use for impressions. So wrenches, if you have a whole set of these wrenches here that go from small to large, it could be a really nice series to do. This cotter pin I thought was interesting. It's from my truck on the tail hitch. And these grooves inside of this slotted spoon I thought were interesting in my kitchen. Beware of taking kitchen utensils into the shop. They may wind up living there forever, so we'll see what we can do with this one and if it goes back to the kitchen or not. Scissors, you can actually cut clay with these, so if you're having short little cuts that you need for darting, scissors work great for that. A shell, so impressing that into the clay and getting some sort of design that you can fill in with mason stain wash or an underglaze wash and wipe away. Had some success with that in the past. And then for slips, using a syringe, the kitchen supply aisle in Menards or any hardware store or in Hy-Vee. This is a flavor injector, but you know, for $5, you can't beat that kind of price for something like a syringe that could run like $20. And a scraper in the drywall or spackling section, which I use for scraping clay quite a bit. Any standard rolling pin works well. This has a lot of use in the studio. If you don't have access to a rolling pin, glass bottle will work, right? So we'll go over how to roll out even slabs with a glass bottle. Wine bottle also works. Other people have used wine bottles to roll things out. And the squeeze bottle I'll use for decoration sometimes with slip and glaze. It's been a while since I've used these, but they do come in handy every so often. And then I have some other pattern like impression pieces here that can work really well just by repetitive pattern on a slab and rolling it up, making a cup or some sort. So a tape roll, toilet paper roll, and then some kiln furniture that I have in the shop. So this is not everyday household things, but if you have a studio and some kiln furniture, like this design is really nice. I think that'll be a nice thing to press into the slab later. And I have some other things here that I've really been enjoying using in my work, my slab built work, for getting textures and things, which I'll talk about in another video. But these are great texture pieces. So placing these in your slab and impressing those in and taking it off. This texture has been really excellent for me. I've found a lot of great designs that came from just this one pot holder. Right, so these are hot trivets, pot holders, they're silicone items that I purchased in the kitchen aisle, all at separate times, right? So this is shelf liner that's made to, well, marketed to open lids with, but again, looking at the texture and pattern, I think that'd be really nice on a clay surface. And I think that's all I have for this video. Oh, let's do one more thing. A couple more things. This is a cheese cutter that I bent so you can see like the ridges here. So for faceting, that would be really nice on a surface. And then you can use an old tape dispenser using the metal surface as a scraping tool for scoring, right? So we'll use these when the slab demos come up here shortly.